The benefits of listening to others speak out their limitations. Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too because you are consuming content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we are choosing. What I am discussing in this video today is how listening to the limitations of others can be beneficial to your own journey. And, excuse me. I just looked and I was like, man, girl, you don't have hair. It's wonderful. Anybody who's been following this channel for a while knows that I've been having locks for 7 years. And I wore those waist length locks for a minute. And then I cut it into a bob. So somebody was asking me, do I feel sad or whatever? And it's like, no, I cut it slowly. First I cut it here. And then I cut it into a bob. And then by the time I wore a bob, I was like, girl, you really just want this hair off your head. You've been wearing the same hair for almost 7.5 years. So I'm very grateful. I love not having any hair. And it's like, I don't miss it right now. I don't want it back. None of that. I like sleeping well because there's nothing moving my head around the pillow. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. Nonetheless, what I'm discussing in this video is the power and listening to the limitations of others. So what I was noticing a few weeks ago, I was talking to somebody I hadn't talked to in a long time. And every now and then I'll go through my contact list and just catch up with old people just because sometimes it's just fun to do. And I was having a conversation and it almost snapped me back 5 or 6 years ago. It snapped me back to the mindset of being around people all the time who talked about what wouldn't work. And as I was listening to this person speak, I was thinking the whole time, well, I don't believe that. Well, I don't believe that. And a part of me was very close to challenging it. And I even did a couple of times, challenge. I'm well, if you look at it like this, because this is just who I am, I'm always going to try to get you to see the solution in every problem that you're discussing. That's just who I am. And so I was listening and thinking that. And then when I got off the phone, in the past, I felt very drained after talking to people like that and listening to their perspective. Well, this time I didn't feel drained. I felt a little bit aggravated, not aggravated to a strong extent. I was like, well, you know what? It just doesn't make sense to think like that because that's just not going to be beneficial to you in the long run. But what I realized is that it triggered me a tiny bit, right? And it's mostly because I was thinking about the times and the days when I used to have a similar limitation, but I've outgrown it or either I don't operate in it anymore. But what it taught me after a week passed and I kind of sat back and I was thinking to myself, why the more positive and the more expansive way of seeing things kind of worked for me is because for me, it was the highest way of thinking and being, but I also had so many positive clues of positive information to add to, well, because this is my lifestyle and because I have access to this and because this was changed and I'm able to emotionally regulate. It was so many positive things I could name. But so I realized after a week passed, they really helped me solidify myself into the belief system that I have. So sometimes we think, don't get around anybody who doesn't believe what you want to believe, and don't get around anybody who doesn't think differently, who thinks differently from you in so many different ways. But when we find ourselves in the space to where we are connected with people who may think differently from us, we're connected with people who might not be on a higher frequency when it comes to belief in themselves and other people and all this sort of thing. That gives us an opportunity to really dig deep into, well, why do we believe what we believe? Why do we believe in things that someone might call delusional, right? Why do we have a mindset that says, I can accomplish this and I can accomplish that, and it's only a matter of time if I keep putting my positive energy and my action and my inspired action towards this goal, right? And when you get into that space, either you can fall back into the mindset of well, you know what? They're right. Why do I believe this anyway? Why do I, have this personal belief system that doesn't work out in my life or whatever, if you deem that. But also, if it is working out, excuse me, I have a gnat keeps flying around in my face. If it is working out for you, then you can say, this is what I gained from it. This is my belief system, and this is how it's worked for me. And I had to like think about things like, how has it benefited you and your daughters? How has it benefited your household? How does this mindset change your life and change the way that you approach people and places and things? How has it changed even like your emotional regulation on a regular basis? And when you know you've gotten full positive results from your belief system and your mindset, then you can honestly say, I'm so happy that I talked to that person, because while I was annoyed in the conversation a little bit, it gave me the room and the space to completely solidify myself into the belief system that works positively in my life, right? Sometimes we get caught up in the idea of being so high level and high frequency thinking that we just can't be bothered with people who are not on that level. And I can honestly say that when you are first getting on the path to a spiritual awakening, that's probably a good idea. It's probably the best idea. But the way that we know that we've outgrown some of these things is that we have the ability to test it. Right? We have the ability to see if we can be in those spaces, be around some people, be in environments, and then we can still be who we are. If we're still having trouble being who we are, believing in what we believe, and believing in ourselves, believing in our abilities, our skill sets, and our financial abundance, whatever it is, if we're having trouble with that, when we get into these spaces, they're just going to bring us right back down, right? It's kind of like when people are outgrowing something from like high school, and like maybe they were bullied because people didn't think that they were cute. They didn't think that they were, they never had a boyfriend or a girlfriend or something like that. And they get older and they outgrow it. And then they go to the 10-year anniversary or the 10-year, what do you call those things in schools? Not an anniversary. 10-year reunion. They go to a 10-year reunion, and then they walk into the space and they're brought right back down to being the person that was bullied, who thought they were ugly or thought they were unattractive or thought they were undesirable, even though the exterior is completely different, right? So the best way that we know sometimes is to be in those environments and be like, hey, I'm stronger than this. I'm more evolved than this. I'm more emotionally regulated than this. I see myself differently, even if this person doesn't. I know that I've grown and I've changed, even if these people can't see it. I know that I am beautiful. I am smart. I am fun. I am joyful. And whatever it is you're convinced of about who you are, you know that you are these things, even if these were the places where people didn't buy into it, or they just don't even want you to see it. Because sometimes people do know things, but they just don't want you to see it because they feel like you're going to outgrow this version of you that they're most comfortable with, right? Some people have this thing, this is the this one, that's the this one, this is the one that's like this. And because they're so locked into those ways of thinking, they can't change the category that they put you in, because they just want to believe that you're still in that same category, even though everything about who you are in your life shows the opposite of it, right? So sometimes listening to the limitations of others, if you can be in the space without it seeping into your psyche, it really helps you solidify why you believe in greatness, why you believe in being a master manifester, why you believe in changing the way you see things and reading books and expanding and growing and exposing yourself to new things, right? Anyway, I hope this helped you understand that it's not always a bad thing to listen to people and their limitations. You might want to share sometimes ways that they can outgrow it, but if you see they're not being receptive to it, just move on, and it's okay. It's okay. Everybody comes to certain things when it's time. And there are still things even inside of us that we're not ready for, but we just can't see them because we're not ready for them yet. But we will be ready for them at some point. Self-mastery, that's what it's about. Always working to master yourself, and you never get there. So it's always about just improving, expanding, and growing. And the more you do it, the better you feel, the better your outcomes are in life, the more you can be proud of your results that you have in life. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.